I'm fitting scales onto this tapered tang knife here, and I'll show you how I do that, because I actually, when I drill my holes, I allow for that taper. If you don't do that, the pins, as they pass through your scale material, are liable to bind in the holes, and they won't sit centrally, or they won't be concentric with the holes. So to do that, I need to set up my drill press to accommodate that taper angle. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's tapering down to about just over 1.3 mil here, and it's gone from 4 mil here in thickness. So a very, very slight taper, a few degrees. I'm using a electronic angle measuring device, and first of all I set the drill press up to be at 90 degrees. So if I flick the measuring device through, make sure there's no swarf on the drill, you can see that I'm reading roughly 90 degrees, or 90.190. So that's within 1/10 of a degree, which is close enough. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to position the knife blank on the drill bed or drill table, and I always position it with the blade facing to the left. And then I'll place my measuring device, which is currently reading 0, if you can see that. It's reading 0. I'll move that onto the tang of my knife, making sure that my knife is in good contact with the drill table. Now we should be measuring an angle now. It's only a tiny angle. It's 1.4. There's 1.4 degrees. Just a tiny angle, look. So that's the combined angle of both of the bevels. So if I half that angle, that should give me 0.7 of a degree offset. So what I need to do, move that, read 0.7. There we are. And that slight offset is hardly anything, but that will mean that the pins will sit through the tang of the knife and into the scale material accurately. I've changed the drill to a small diameter for the rest of the pins. The lanyard hole I drill a slightly wider diameter. I don't use clamps, so this is a bit of a disclaimer. If anyone copies me and you end up injuring yourself, then don't hold me responsible. Perhaps it's a good idea to use some sort of a clamp, but I've got this threaded bolt here as an anti-spin device. I never had a problem, but anyway, as I say, this is a bit of a disclaimer. So here goes. I'm going to drill these two holes here, and then using that as my stop pin. Next, what I do, it's fairly common sense this really. Take that off of there, and it's really important that you flip it over. If you don't flip it over, you have two scales of the same side, which is what you don't want. And then it's a matter of repeating the process. Next I take a scriber and I scribe around the outline. With my knife. And obviously I repeat that process with the other scale. Now it's simply a matter of cutting these out on the bandsaw. The two opposite scales cut out now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the fronts here, because you've got to do that now. You can't finish them off whilst they're fitted to the knife, so that's the next operation. That's all it takes to get those front surfaces squared up like that. And the next thing I do, I put a chamfer on the front as well. So I set that machine up for the chamfer. And for that, because it doesn't need to be accurate, I just set it up using the guide here. And then go ahead and chamfer those two edges up. Well, that's the two chamfers done. If you look closely, you can see the scratch marks from the 80 grit disc. So I hand rub them now to get rid of those scratch marks. Right, here's all our knife components now, and as you can see, I've dimpled up the inside surfaces of the scales. That just allows little glue pockets to form when I squeeze the scales on. I roughened up the pins, and I hope you can see that, but I also just hollow out a very slight amount of the tang just to allow more of a void for the glue to go into, and I've got the holes going through as well. Now for the moment of truth. Let's see how well it all fits together. Oh, well, I forgot to mention, I've also, the chamfered area has been finished off as well. Look, can you see that? So anyway, let's see how it goes together. Look at that. and hopefully you can see there's a nice flat join, and the pins are not binding. So now it's just a matter now of degreasing all the surfaces and gluing the knife together. I'm just assembling the knife now and gluing it up. I find it easier to actually clamp the vise safely between two rubber blocks and a vise, and assemble the knife this way. I'm just degreasing at the moment with acetone. Likewise, the scales get a good degreasing with acetone. As do the pins. And there's the components there ready for assembly. I use a two-part epoxy to secure my handles onto the knife. The epoxy I use is slow setting. This gives me a 2-hour working time, and then it sets up to full strength over 24 hours. I have used in the past faster setting epoxies, but I found that they seem to set up quite brittle. And this epoxy I use sets up with a little bit of give. It's still very hard, mine, but just that little bit of give I think is important, especially perhaps if the knife is going to be used for battening through wood, where you could be transmitting shock through the handle, etc. So it has a bit of give, you know, which is bound to help, I think. With this epoxy you've got to make sure it's thoroughly mixed. It takes about 45 seconds of continual mixing to get it properly mixed. One crucial thing here is to make sure you get epoxy down to them holes. Put the pin in and give it a good twirl round. I also coat the tang of the knife with epoxy as well. The epoxy I use is quite thick epoxy, so I do the gluing up in a warm place. I guess if you were using really thin runny epoxies, you might have to have the knife horizontal for this process. Make sure my pins are where I want them. Messy job. So because I've allowed for that taper angle when I drilled the holes, it goes together really quite nicely. Make sure my pins are vertical where I like them. That's it. Just a matter now of clamping. Should do that. And you can imagine what's happened inside the handle now. All that glue has been squeezed into all the little voids and the hollowed out areas and what have you. And now's the chance to tidy up that front. And remove the glue from the front now, because if that sets up, you'll have another job getting that tidied up. Little cotton bud Q-tip type of thing, you know. Give it a wipe down. Fresh bit of roll, kitchen tissue, and then wipe that down there. Quite happy with that. And that's done. That's how I attach the handles. Just going to show you some finished knives now. Finished Jim's knife. There's your sheath, Jim, with a dangler. Beautiful sheath. Edge dyed black. This is your knife. I'll do some photographs. I'll put them up at the end. It's come out very nice. Nice tapered tang on it. Blades finished beautifully. Very happy. Good plunges. Equal tip. And fits the hand beautiful. And then especially in the chest lever, because I've made my handles just slightly longer, so that when you do your chest lever, it doesn't dig in. Can you see that? It doesn't dig in, and I've got fairly big hands, so I think that this is going to fit a lot of people's hands. It is a very, very comfortable knife. So for that chest lever. That's yours, Jim. This is a knife I built for Mitch. You know who you are, Mitch. It's fire steel belt carry sheath, slightly modified this. So you wanted a shorter blade. It's in 3mm. There's the palm swell. Blades come out very well. About 28° bevel on that. I left it a bit fatter here because Mitch wanted it a bit fatter there. And again, it fits the hand, my large hands, fairly comfortably for the chest lever. Nothing's going to dig in unless your hands are really big. Nothing's going to dig in. So I'm very comfortable for that. Mosaic pins. Nice plunges. Accurate point. Sharp, as they all are. Here's a piece of cigarette paper. I don't smoke, my son smokes. Not a horrible habit. Yeah, look at that. Apparently cigarette paper, one of the hardest papers to cut. I've done a belt carry sheath, but I put a loop on for you, Mitch, in case you want to use that, and I put a couple of holes in there. So I've got your address and I'll send that off to you. So I'll take some photographs of it as well and put them up at the end. Beautiful knife. Just got to do the cigarette paper test for this knife here, look, so you can just see. There you go. That's a 4mm. One other knife, I've just almost finished it, it's Colin Little's, who wanted an Iroko handled knife. I finished the knife and I finished the sheath, Colin. I just got to build a dangler for it and the fire steel, and the fire steel's in the process of being made now. Just waiting for the brass lanyard tube on the fire steel to glue up, and then I'll build that up for you. This is Iroko. It's in Iroko wood, an African hardwood with red liners. Again, that comfortable fit, plenty of length in the blade for battening, general bushcraft use. And there's our cigarette paper. Yeah. Cutting our cigarette paper nicely. So that's ready to go out tomorrow. So just got to finish the sheath off, give it a bit of a polish up and finish the fire steel, and we're done on that. I'll put some photographs up of these knives now.